Ohio Department of Elections.
Is there room for?
Executive directors, I think, for doing
There's
some-
4 chairs in the first. We'll go last.
Working application.
Well, it's a combination of things.
Oh, yeah, but it is.
And I said,
On our dime.
no, he's with the grocery.
Oh, okay.
But he's also doing some work up there. That state. Nope. It was just odd that, you know. Yeah. Brought up,
The little bar is moving, so we're gonna do that.
It's hard to hit a bar when it's moving.
It is.
Okay, go ahead and call the meeting to order.
Mrs. Lenahan?
Here?
Mrs. Icorn?
Here.
Mr. Gemperline?
Here.
All right, we're here today to tie up resolutions that have already been brought up in public session on Monday evenings. And, you know, we have to move the business of the township forward. So we need to get this done, move forward so that we can get on to other things. We need to tie up the whole EMS issue. So one of the things we're going to do is Resolution 2, which is to finalize our response to the county. And there's a copy of that on all of your, if anybody's seen it. It was Resolution 19052014. We submitted it, and now it is ready to go to the county. So we're going to go ahead and pass a resolution to give that to them. So I'm going to move to approve Resolution 1906-1902, authorize sending the response to Delaware County Commissioner's proposal, dated October 30th, 2018, to replace Liberty Township EMS with Delaware County EMS. Whereas on October 30th, the Delaware County Commissioners sent a proposal to the Liberty Township Board of Trustees to replace the current Liberty Township fire-based EMS with Delaware County EMS. Whereas the Board of Trustees has no desire to replace the current Liberty Township Fire Department fire-based EMS, and whereas Liberty Township currently receives approximately $190 per run from Delaware County as reimbursement. Whereas the reimbursement amount has remained unchanged since the early 2000s, despite significant growth in the township and increasing need for EMS services, and whereas the Board of Trustees would like a more equitable and reasonable per run reimbursement in light of Delaware County's estimation that each EMS run would cost them approximately $2,100. Therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Trustees of Liberty Township to authorize sending the attached response to Delaware County Commissioners, which in part proposes the following: a more equitable and reasonable per run reimbursement of approximately $490 and a 10-year contract with Delaware County for maintaining Liberty Township Fire Department and fire-based EMS. Can I get a second?
Second.
I will start by saying this is such an important resolution, and the fact that we had a meeting on Monday night where there was public comment allowed, then to call a special meeting today to address this, and then not even to have public comment on here, where you can't have new business on a special meeting, but you absolutely can have public comment. So I think it is something that should be tabled. It should not be passed today without having communication from the residents, and especially in a room that truly is only supposed to hold 12 people. And we have people in the hallway. So I don't feel that we're even in line with the public meeting laws. So that's how I feel about that.
That's how you feel about it. I don't see how anyone could object to this.
Well, we'll never know, will we?
So on, this was on the public meeting agenda, and it was discussed. So this is just closing it up. We have received it back. We were told it doesn't need any changes, and so this is simply to move the process on and to get the taxpayers of Liberty Township what they deserve. Essentially, you're paying a sales tax that is supposed to pay for your EMS, and you're not getting anywhere near back the reimbursement that you deserve. They haven't increased that amount in almost 2 decades, and perhaps even more. While the cost of EMS is skyrocketing, while our township is growing, And while our contribution into that EMS fund is significant, every 0.5% of your sales tax goes towards safety services for Delaware County. The difference between us and the rest of this county is that when this relationship was established in the 70s, nobody else had EMS service except for us in the city of Delaware. They implemented Delaware County EMS to all the other municipalities. They asked Liberty Township in the city of Delaware if they could please continue to provide the EMS service and they would reimburse us, because that's the law. We agreed at that time that we would do that because they felt that they did not have the capacity to do it. Now, here we are, over 30 years later, and they're still giving us $190 per run when they acknowledge their cost per run is $2,100. How is it fair to continue to give us $190 a run when their cost is $2,100, and the original agreement was that they would reimburse us to cover the cost of our EMS? The cost of our EMS, folks, is over $3.5 million a year. It is inappropriate. Trustees have been asking the board, the county commissioners, for years to make this equitable. They have refused. They have not changed it. Mike's been there all along. He's a great advocate to have at this table because he knows the truth of the past. And the truth is, they haven't increased our reimbursement in decades. And that is unfair to you, the taxpayer, and me. We are contributing to that fund. We have every right to be reimbursed equitably. And we are not even asking for a fair. We are asking for more. We are asking for about $490 per run. And that way we don't have to keep raising your taxes to pay for something you're already paying for in the form of a sales tax. So I think that this is, I can't imagine a taxpayer in Liberty Township that wants to continue to be mistreated by the county commissioners. And I vote yes.
Well, I don't think anyone is going to argue about the fact of us going back and asking for more money. I think where the issue lies is coming up with a number that truly was analyzed, that you looked at the entire impact for everyone to make sure that's sustainable long term.
We did.
No. So with that being said, I think this is not a real intent of trying to get the money. It's more of a political move of saving face, and it could be done in a much better way to get the results that we need and want.
This is not a political move, and it's consistent with everything I've done for 7.5 years. And that is increase service levels and reduce expenses. That's consistent with everything I've done. You may disagree, and you have a right to your opinion, and I respect that.
If we pull
but
the
I
latest,
disagree with you.
if we pull the latest contracts that you've negotiated, I would not say it was cost savings to the township residents.
Which negotiating?
Even the
which are
medical
you
director,
referring
if
to?
you want to talk about EMS.
Well, Frazan Ahmed, who was the prior administrator of Delaware County, said that was the best move that this township could have made.
Oh, he did.
Yes, he did.
Okay, well, so when he comes back in and presents to us, we can talk to him about all the changes that he supposedly has made. And I have nothing against him, but it would be fine if we had one. We certainly didn't need 3 medical directors.
Are you talking about Frazan Ahmed?
Oh, not Frazan. I'm
Yeah.
sorry, Panchel.
I'm
Well,
not referring to him.
Oh, you're talking
I'm
about
talking
the
about
board
Frazan Ahmed,
And
the
it-
prior administrator of Delaware County.
of
has
Delaware
said
County.
of Delaware County has said, yes, he's an administrator of the county, has said that bringing on Ohio State University was a necessary step that this township needed to make because of the size of our EMS. Wasn't appropriate to continue
So
the way
a
we were.
former Delaware County administrator, not hearing
Frazan
from our
Ahmed
own
from ODOT.
township, our own township fire chief, or even our battalion chief who was in charge of EMS. But we're going to take a quote from a gentleman that's a former.
Well, actually,
Delaware
I have
County.
emails from your former battalion chief or our battalion chief who worked with him, and the emails laugh and scoff at his performance. But we don't need to go there.
Oh, well, we could also talk about how they were looking at replacing, actually, the Ohio State medical director at the Delaware County, and there is a paper trail of that as well.
Okay.
But we could go on and on about that.
We could.
We
and
could.
we can agree to disagree.
Okay.
So we're thrilled, as is our resident Frazan Ahmed, who was the prior administrator, with the choice to go with OSU. And he's also recommended and said that Mike Schilling was a great choice as well. Mike reported to him for years. Okay, so I'll vote yes.
Who was it after him? Was it Fromer that was after?
Mhm.
Okay. Well, that's
I'll
not really
vote-
here, but we can talk about that, about what both of their opinions are.
Okay,
Go ahead.
so I'll vote yes.
Yes.
No.
All right, now this next resolution was on Monday night. We needed to get the appropriation for it, and that is to do, okay, I'll move to approve resolution 1906-1901. And that is authorizing expenditure for a township mailer/newsletter. Whereas it is necessary to notify Liberty Township residents of township issues which may impact them, and in order to ensure the best coverage for communication, a mailer or newsletter to all households is most effective. So we are authorizing an expenditure not to exceed $10,000 for the printing, postage, and mailing of a township-wide mailer, which is attached, and which on the back of it will have the proposal, which we just passed. So the newsletter will have information about what's going on in the township, and the back will have the proposal so everybody can see how this all wrapped up. So I'll move to approve resolution 1906-1901.
I'll second that.
Well, once again, a lack of transparency that we did have this resolution on Monday, but there wasn't the attachment. In fact, if I wouldn't have asked to have the drafts emailed to me, this would be the first time I would be seeing this newsletter draft, which I will tell you that you can read each sentence that will come into your house, and it's missing a second part. It's only half-truths. I would like to put this in the official record that I'm about to read. Based on the proposed EMS communication mailer, where drafts have been written by Trustee Lanahan, we need to push the pause button for a moment. We need to ensure we do not violate the Ohio Revised Code 9.03, and the responsible course of action is to seek an advisory opinion from the Ohio Ethics Commission and Delaware County Prosecutor's Office. We need to make sure this is not prohibited political communication funded by taxpayer dollars. As you may be aware, this section of this code was recently updated with criminal consequences, which consist of up to 6 months in prison and a $1,000 fine for those who knowingly violate the statute. We should not risk these unintended consequences to our hardworking staff or to ourselves. I cannot in good conscience consider this resolution until we have the assurance of the OEC and Council allowing this as for proper use of funds. And I would encourage you both to wait for those opinions as well. If you choose to pass this resolution for a mailer that purposely does not portray the full story of the EMS situation and seems to be motivated to try to build a defense using taxpayer dollars up to $10,000 against the current removal of cost petitions, I will not allow my name to be attached to this propaganda mailer. If my fellow trustees are truly concerned about making sure accurate information is reaching the community, then we should send a simple postcard inviting the residents to a public meeting where we can specifically discuss EMS. This postcard would be a fraction of the cost of Trustee Lanahan's proposed mailer. And just to give you an example for here, the first bullet point, even in the Liberty Township newsletter, will read, in October 2018, the county administrator, at the instruction of the county commissioner, spoke to the board of trustees regarding EMS services and potentials for EMS coverages by Delaware County. Where that sentence ends, it does not include, is that it was actually Trustee Lanahan that had requested for their administrator, Fromer, to come in. This wasn't Fromer going on a township tour of talking about taking over township EMS. This was requested by her. We could go on and on through all of these of how they're half-truths. This is nothing but a propaganda letter, and it's being used to be funded by your taxpayer dollars.
Oh, wait, are you finished?
Okay, you have it.
Administrator Schilling, what did the EOC say? The Ohio Ethics
So I called the Ohio Ethics Commission and they said it was out of their realm of jurisdiction and that we should contact the prosecutor's office or the auditor's office. I contacted the state auditor's office and they said it was out of their realm as well, but referred me back to the prosecutor's office. I contacted the prosecutor's office and shared this information with them. I'm awaiting their response.
Yes,
Then,
and I have.
then we should table this resolution.
And I've contacted private legal counsel, and
Could you
They-
talk louder? We can't hear out here in the hallway.
I've contacted private legal counsel, and they feel that it qualifies, doesn't violate any statute at all. I've also contacted some other township trustees. They say there's nothing wrong with it, and that newsletters are, there's a statute allowing for newsletters that actually kind of promotes them and gives some criteria. So I'm comfortable with it. I'm comfortable with that we're fulfilling all statutes, not violating any statutes. And I vote yes.
Well, I do want to point out that in the previous one, I've asked to send out mailers. It's never been supported in the past. But now that we're going to be sending out a mailer that only talks about EMS, and again, half-truths, not finishing sentences, as an example of the first one I gave, and we're using your tax dollars if this goes through. So when you come and you're asking for street signs and other things that we've talked about before, or other issues that could come out and we don't have money for it, rest assured, at least you had $10,000 spent on a mailer to defend Trustee Hand and Trustee Gepper line of their supposed mess that they had created.
Created this mess.
We can't hear out here.
Created a mess, he said.
So for the record, I disagree with everything Trustee Icorn just said, but I appreciate her opinion.
Okay, what happened is Delaware County offered to save us some money.
Mike, would you tell everybody in the room that the Delaware County Commissioners instructed Mike Fromer to go to all the townships?
That's my understanding.
Yes, that is our understanding as well.
And what other ones did they attend?
That's why he reached
I believe
out.
Genoa Township, I'd have to defer that to Mike himself. but
I think
know
they should, because I know they certainly didn't attend Orange, and I do know that there is, Melanie, were you not the one that had asked Trustee or Administrator Fromer to come in?
I honestly do not recall. I believe Gary Merrill.
No,
coordinated
actually, I can have Administrator Fromer come in here on the record saying that you were the one that contacted asking for that to happen.
I did
So-
ask him to come in to discuss the pre-hospital care group.
Okay.
No, you had him to come in to talk about their Fritz report. So again, that was a draft form. They weren't doing a tour talking about a draft form. It was not, the commissioners did not ask them to start attending all the different townships. So,
Well, I can tell you that Commissioner Merrill did
No.
ask Mike Fromer to go to the township.
well, I know that you were meeting a great deal with Gary Merrill over the years about trying to get this to go to the countywide EMS.
That's not at all what I was meeting with him about. I was
Okay.
meeting with him about equitable
Well,
distribution of
again,
money.
what we're talking about right now is spending a taxpayer's dollar on a township mailer.
Mhm.
That is nothing but propaganda.
I disagree.
Well, that's fine.
It's
We'll see how our residents receive it.
It's purely factual.
But again, when we asked to have a postcard asking people to come in where there'd be actual dialogue and we could finish these half-written sentences, you guys weren't in support of that.
I don't recall a postcard ever being asked to invite people to come in.
Oh, well, then I will make sure that I get the audio and I can post that later too, like I do.
So
Well,
we
the other thing-
we have approximately.
Oh, that'll be on my page.
The pop bubble?
No, my page.
A bubble of hate.
The bubble
Propaganda
page.
Propaganda? Yeah,
Oh, the
yeah.
propaganda page of the
So
bubble.
anyway,
Did you start a new page?
so anyway,
Propaganda page?
No,
we
it's going out
have, we
newsletter
have
in
30,000,
Oh,
approximately
you're right.
30.
That is the
Exactly.
propaganda. Is you're right,
We
Holly.
have
Thank you for
approximately
clarifying that.
30,000 people in our community. The rim holds 1%, less than 1%, so that would not be an effective way
They won't let
to
me
communicate
ask
with the
you
residents. It would be very ineffective.
That's it.
So I saw-
Everyone knows what
I
we're
saw that as a
doing.
waste of money because the room holds less than 1% of our community.
No, we were going to have it in a
So-
larger venue.
I think that this
I ran for
will
office 2 years ago.
be
They've
short
known Shriver
to
for
inform
25 years
everyone.
anymore.
I think this is the only way
I'm
to
sorry, I'm
effectively
trying to listen to this,
let
Holly. Do you
everybody
need to
know
step
what's
out?
going on.
Nope. Your friends were asking me some questions about your
Oh, my
affiliation with the
friends?
Okay,
bubble.
so
They
can you
were
take it
calling
up,
me a
please?
puppet.
Mrs.
Well,
Eichler,
No.
Like it is.
Mr. Gemperline,
Yes.
Mrs. Lenahan.
We'll have
Oh.
some facts.
Yes. And with that, the meeting is adjourned.
So sorry, the residents, your money was just wasted.
Everyone with the red shirt on needs to write a check to the fire department for at least $1,500 because that's what this woman has saved you.
I don't believe you. That's a disgrace.
Hey, rules for cause petitions are at the POW Festival this weekend. Everybody be there.
Sign up.
I will call up on that.
Larry, oh, another middle finger, yes, it's a video.
The third language. The language of senior services.
Why do you push all your meetings to, all your business to weekdays when nobody,
So I can answer
to a
that for
small
you.
room?
Yeah, I can answer that.
It
violates the
And we'll have a
most-
transcript, all types of transcript with all of your
Every
names
single
and
Delaware
addresses
County
and
Commissioner
phone
meeting
numbers.
is during the business day.
Yeah.
We have a business
But
friend
you
here.
have a meeting and you have the time to do it and you don't follow through.
Yeah, we do. We scheduled a special meeting. The county has every one of their meetings during business day. That's what special meetings are.
That's so unprofessional.
No, we can't wait 2 weeks, sir. It's not unprofessional. In fact, it is professional. I'm an elected official that actually works for you. I'm
That's
working.
not apparent to me.
I'm working very hard. That's why I'm here.
There's no doubt you're working hard, but you're not working
Sir,
hard
it is
for
my
me.
pleasure to work for the people of Liberty Township. This group represents a very tiny percentage. I am representing all
I don't think so.
30,000.
I don't think so.
So you think that 43% levy should have passed?
No, I just think it's disgraceful that important business is moved to meetings that when you have people in
Sir,
attendance. you
it's
move it to
very
other
usual
times.
and customary. That's how government runs. I'm sorry that you disagree, but that is how it works.
It was
That's how government
derailed
works.
Monday night.
We would have passed it Monday night when it was on the agenda, but Shira didn't want us to because it wasn't appropriated, so we got it appropriated and we passed it. It was open for discussion, it was on the public agenda on a Monday night. So was the other document. We said both went up for discussion in public session, okay?
So glad I got called
These
to
are not
serve
new
today.
business. This is not new.
These people don't like it when you do what they do to you. They do not like it when you flip the switch in the camera lens.
I know.
They absolutely detest being treated like they treat others.
That's right.
They do. It's remarkable.
I know.
It is.
It is what it is.
And we've got witness and cameras, and I love it. And I'm so glad I got called to serve today.
Well, truth is like kryptonite to a liar.
Yes, thank you.
Let them know.
All right.
And by the way, it's legitimate. It's a good community.
All right.
It is.
It's good.
Thank you.
I love our
I wanted to
community.
say thank you for interacting
How you
with me. I mean,
Oh, I'm not gonna video
I-
this. I really respect.
so
this separate.
I sincerely
Private.
don't think it's terrible that you ask for for more money. I mean, it's fine.
I think it would be
you know?
terrible not to. It
Yeah.
would be dereliction of duty.
Yeah, I
Total
mean,
negligence.
just to reiterate, what my concern is, and your point's well taken. The contract that exists with Delaware City and Liberty exists because we have pre-existing EMS. So granted, it is a different situation with the other townships.
Right.
I don't know how that message would go, and sincerely, if you can get that message to stick, and if you can get, the
Well,
commissioners to reply, then it can work out as you hope.
You know that Delaware City asked for a much greater amount.
I'm not surprised they have more. They have 5 stations when they have 2.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We are fundamentally different than any other municipality in the county in that they asked us to do it. The other areas asked.
They asked Liberty. This is back in the 70s,
They asked
right?
us, they said,
Back in-
well, if you would do it, we will reimburse you.
Trustee Lenahan and Joe, this is a private conversation that I'm not recording. Do you want this lady recording this and posting this on the POW bubble?
I don't
She's-
care.
Is it okay?
As far as I'm concerned.
Okay, I just wanted to be sure,
So,
Yeah.
because, yes,
they-
thank you.
They take out what they don't want in it anymore.
I know.
So, the fundamental difference is that they asked us to please continue to provide EMS service to our residents. The other communities.
And this was back in
This was in the 70s.
yeah.
No,
And they said,
I
and
just
we'll
read it
reimburse
to
you. And the township said, fine,
Mhm.
fair.
Mhm.
The other communities had Delaware County EMS and essentially said, we don't want you anymore.
Right.
So we are completely in a different
Oh, no.
category.
Yeah, no, I
And by-
understood that.
And by
There was
forcing
no
us to
hell.
work with them, we're diluting
Okay.
our fair share.
Now-
It dilutes, it's a negative for our taxpayers. It dilutes what we get.
Yeah.
We are not like them and we shouldn't be grouped with them.
Now, the question for me, and again, I mean, this isn't really my decision, is how the political discourse goes So between the commissioners, the other, public bodies in the area, I think you could make an argument that as long as we don't revisit the agreement, then that's how it stands, but now we're asking to enhance the agreement. I mean, I know, I mean, you saw my message, I know that the other township trustees are saying that if you enhance Liberty Township's reimbursement, then they want the same kind of
They
deal.
want to ignore that fundamental difference. They want to ignore the history.
Right.
We continue to build our EMS department at taxpayer expense because they asked us to, and under the notion that they were going to reimburse us for it. Here we are now, and it's been 20 years since they've made, since they've corrected the inequity of this. It's inappropriate. It's unfair to our taxpayers. It's terrible.
So again, I mean, the real question is, it's beyond this room. It's among the commissioners, the other trustees, and I would say there's a chance that number one, I think it's going to be an uphill unless we have.
Well, it has been for the past 10 years.
Well,
so
right, and actually, and more
difference.
more broadly, I'm concerned that there's there's really a disagreement among the commissioners, the township trustees, and frankly, I see it different than most people.
Well, I don't know
in
if there's a
terms of-
disagreement, Joe.
Well, no,
They don't want to give us the money.
Well, they don't have the money. That's something that
But
I'd like
they
to
do
have.
have the money.
No, they don't. They don't. I mean, I've got
You
it.
might be getting different numbers than we get.
No, I mean, I've actually checked my numbers against with their accounting department. I mean,
because based upon how they're spending their money.
Well, sure.
They
sure.
need
But
to run a more efficient.
I mean,
They need to do better.
and that's fair. I mean, I'd like all my governments to to question like how they use their
They
resources.
need to do better. They should be able to.
But
afford it.
they've been a huge capital spend. We're growing.
They
second-
were
I think
able
second-
to afford it, Joe.
Well, they've put out 2 huge bond issues. They're burning through operating cash, right? They do not have extra cash as it stands. So to ask
Maybe
them for
they
more.
need to look at their expenditures.
Well, and that's and they would have to. They would either have to cut expenditures, services somewhere, or they'd have to raise taxes. I mean that's a simple fact.
And so you realize too that the townships have organized against them as far as sheriff coverage as well, because it's not adequate. And they're just like our EMS.
Townships can't offer police protection. Is that right?
Yes, they can.
They can.
Yeah, Genoa does. So what they're doing is instead, just like Liberty Township EMS, they are not sending closest, fastest available vehicle and
In terms of sheriff.
reimbursing
Is that
in terms of law enforcement.
Yeah. I'm not even ready to talk about that.
So
one.
that
I think all of
it's
us
the
are
same.
trying to
It's
learn
the
more.
same
I mean,
thing.
I don't.
The county has been getting away with being unfair, especially to the
well,
southern
and
tier.
again, I
to the
have a
southern
view
tier.
that in fact a lot of people, you find there's probably a lot of people who are closer to your view that feel that there's been unfair treatment. I actually have heard the commissioner's explanation how they see it, and frankly, I know whatever our personal views. Here's what I'd like to see happen. I've told Gary Merrill this too. I'd like to see either all the jurisdictions, the township, city of Delaware, everybody involved, come to a joint resolution, agreeing, here's what that sales tax, is for, what the county's obligations are, or if they fail to do that, I'd like to see a judge settle it.
Well,
Because I think at the base of a lot of our disputes has been this funding dispute where really the county says it was to count. There's several things. It's probably too lengthy for this conversation, but it's a dispute about what the county owes the townships, and at its base, I would like to see that resolved because I think it does cause legitimate unsafe situations where I think that I don't know the commissioners very well. You and I have only really spoken several times, other than talking at each other in meetings, right? But I have a sense that a lot of this motivation is, well, if we've got this funding dispute, then the county's saying, we'll just take it over, all of it, and then it'll be done,
that's
right?
what they tried to do.
Right. And by the way, I think done a certain way, there's actually probably more support for that I brought up before that you can't ignore the fire apparatus component to this. This is getting back to like the analysis of the safety
Which is also,
issues.
we weren't sending the closest, fastest fire
Well, and we can
apparatus
talk.
either,
We can
so
talk
got
about.
that
We can
fixed.
talk about that too.
It's already repaired.
But anyway, I think there's probably more appetite than we realize to have a more comprehensive system across the county. It's just how do you do it, and these unilateral discussions between us and the county, that's not getting there, right? So we're already, and as far as the service side, you've said it. I think I'll agree at this point. We'll see how it goes, but we have that pre-hospital. I hate this thing.
Pre-hospital care.
Yeah. That's already existing. I hope it functions well. I hope they come up with some good, and that can advance that. And I really feel like the same approach is warranted on the funding side. I got here late because I went to the wrong location, but I presumably you did your. Well, I was going to check on the baseball field.
Basically,
but I presumably you passed Resolution 02. It's going to go up there.
Of course.
I think chances are even if we would want to exclude the other the other townships.
well, they're already excluded. We're not changing anything.
I'm guessing they're going to end up if the county commissioners actually respond, and frankly, I wonder if they'll stonewall. We've seen that happen from our own body.
They don't accomplish much.
But if they do respond, chances are the other jurisdictions are going to get involved, and hopefully the right conversations happen. That's so I'm not really panicking about the fact that resolution passed. I think it's fine to have that conversation. I just think that there's more implications than just between us and the county, and really it's going to be right.
There are. So for me as a township trustee.
Excuse me, I'm sorry to interrupt. I've got to run.
Okay.
And I just want to.
Me too.
Yeah, right. I just wanted to ask you
as well.
First, we discussed whether you're running or not for re-election.
Yeah, I'm not going to respond to that. I don't know.
You did though to me earlier, and I thought you said.
I'm not sure.
Oh, okay, you're undecided.
You're gonna wait and see.
And then secondly, when is this newsletter or this mailing going out?
I don't know. I think what we should probably do is get some bids. I think they'll probably get pricing.
Well, I mean, is it imminent then, once you get pricing?
Yes,
and it's
absolutely.
going out?
Yeah,
Okay.
it's been passed.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, thanks. So, like I said in the email to you, I would prefer to go at it as just this township because I think we would have gotten a lot more out of it. Unfortunately, our leverage was completely destroyed by certain people. So now we are going at it from two angles. We're going at it as our township and hoping that we get our equitable amount. And then we have somebody on the pre-hospital care board as our representative that knows everything.
I read that. That was kind of odd to me because the other people now, Mr. Schilling, he as the township administrator, he does have some say into the financial side of things. The other parties on that are strictly on the service side, so they can't really speak to the funding. So I don't see that conversation happening within that group.
Yeah, they're all speaking to the funding.
I don't see how they can. It's the politicians own that question.
They put it in their mission statement.
Yeah. Oh well, I don't know who's talking about what. You're not seeing any results yet, but
Chief Honeycutt said this needs to include funding.
Well, and I agree. I know, and there's sort of a sequencing question. I think. I loved the things that Chief Best. You've probably seen or heard me quote him before. Talking about putting service first, and we want to save lives first. And
We've done
I think
that.
most of the residents really believe that we're willing to spend more than we spend now if it would get us actual real protection. So in any event, but yeah, the funding absolutely has to be there. And again, for my own self, and I don't know if this is live or whatever, but people may be swearing at me, but I'm not panicking about the fact that you passed Resolution 02. I just think the discussions are going to very possibly go in a way that you don't expect, but we'll see.
I wanted to go back to something you had said, service.
Not you.
So
I know,
Not
but
you.
Is it Grace?
Again.
I'm friends
It's
with
all
her
right,
too.
and I'm friends with you.
Hey, so Joe, back to service. That is, service was, from the very beginning, what did I say? I'm not going to make any decision that will decrease your service levels. If I said it once, I said it 50 times. What I did for months in interviewing that gentleman over there repeatedly about service levels in Delaware County EMS, service levels here, everything that the Fitch report brought up, prior concerns of mine that I've had for years. This pre-hospital care board, that's great that they're talking about service levels. but we did everything in our township. We addressed everything. We fixed the run cards. We got a new medical director. We got a new administrator. So with the new medical director comes consistent, updated protocols that are outcome-based. There's a lot of improvements that came with the new medical director. And then especially the consistent protocol, and he'll work closely with the other.
Are you going to have him back to the trustee meetings to?
If he,
present?
you know, I think what he'll do is probably give information to Mike, correspond with Mike, and then Mike will present.
Personally speaking, I'd like to hear him. I'm guessing he's kind of laying low. I'm sure he's doing his work. I mean, I've heard.
He goes on runs.
Yeah, I know. I mean, having spoken with some of our people here, they're like, he's fine. He's doing a fine job. So I mean,
well, he's
but as far as a lot of the things you talked about, I mean, as far as I don't care to dredge that stuff up. I think right now.
Well, you talked about service. That
right, and I'm just continuing to drill on that topic. I was concerned about many of the things that were discussed, especially early on, that would have jeopardized service. But at this point, we're not going down those paths. So
right, they were all discussed.
Right now we're just talking about funding. That conversation's going to go where it goes. Like I say, I've got the way I would approach it is quite a bit different, and I do speak up. I've spoken with the commissioner some, and I don't know. We'll see where it goes. But again, I think there's many components. I mean, you discount. I say I've looked at their finances, and you discount what I've looked at.
They are what they are.
Right.
But they are what they are because maybe they're not making some wise business decisions. I think that we have somebody here that would tell you they're not.
I think that should be discussed in a larger room, and if if all of the
we've already overcome it all. We've corrected everything that needed corrected to increase our service level.
The funding side is going to have some
And we've done all we
follow-on
can do.
effects.
We're on the pre-hospital care board, and we've requested a more equitable amount. As trustees, that's all I can do. I mean, what else can I do?
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, you put it out there. We'll see where it goes. But I mean,
it's in their hands. What they choose to do, they choose to do.
Mm-hmm.
We've responded. They can respond back. They can ignore us, which is what they've done for 10 years or 20. I just have been engaged in it for 10.
Mm-hmm.
But they can ignore us.
Yeah.
Again, that's what they have successfully done. But I will tell you, Commissioner Lewis claimed one of the reasons she ran for commissioner was because she felt it was so inequitable what the townships were getting. That was part of her reason. And so here she has an opportunity. Now, they may say, well, we want to do it on a grand scale. Well, okay, if that's what you're going to do, go ahead and do that. I represent Liberty Township. I don't represent Genoa. They have their own trustees working for their taxpayers. I work for you.
Yeah. Again,
so I have to do what's best for
again,
you.
to reiterate the message that I sent you this morning. If it turns out against our favor, where say we get what we're asking for, but the other townships do,
Mm-hmm.
and just using our property valuations as a basis, I don't know how they would approach it. Either like I said, they either have to cut costs somewhere, which is services usually, or they'd have to increase taxes. Just saying, if they added a sales tax across the board, on the lower end of my estimate, we would at best break even after getting the
never
increase.
Gonna happen, Jeff.
After the increase, well, and
that's
and
like
that's
saying
what we'll have to
that
see.
we're going to take over Ireland. That's preposterous.
We're
never
that's hyperbole.
They're never going to do that. That is never going to happen.
The other townships are going to ask for it.
Honestly,
I think that nothing's going to happen, just like the past 10 or 20 years.
Right,
Probably
but I
gonna
have to do my due diligence.
But again, I think we could approach it in a way that would actually have real resolution instead of continuing to kick down resolutions that really probably aren't going to go anywhere.
So just
or
so
if they did go somewhere, there's an even chance that it would actually work out to our detriment because they would have to raise taxes on us. Our share of the taxes would be more than the $1 million we would get.
So
right
now, their funding model is inequitable. That's on them.
It's more equitable to us than other townships that are providing that service. Granted that they opted out. I grant that.
We built our township based on their commitment to reimburse us. We built our EMS based on that commitment. Genoa didn't have EMS. They had Delaware County EMS. And then they said, we want you to leave. And we, on our commitment, what we want to do is build this. It is a very different scenario.
Yeah, and I agree it's a different scenario. I'm just saying they're going to make their arguments and
they can.
And I mean we'll see. I mean you're throwing it out there and like I say, I don't think it's going to get there. You know, I think they're probably going to continue to kick the can, but I'm encouraging you, and I'm also talking to the commissioners. Let's resolve this.
I think we
Let's
lost all our
resolve this.
leverage, so I do agree.
Well, I'm not looking for leverage. I'm looking for joint resolution.
We
joint
had
resolutions.
leverage, but we don't anymore. Leverage is very important.
Well, you know, I'm a citizen of both Delaware County and Liberty Township.
Right.
And
So
it doesn't serve me to have these two jurisdictions both are supposed to be serving my interest competing. Because I'm telling you, there's a very even chance that you could get, well, in theory, you could get your savings, and in order to fund it, Delaware County would raise taxes elsewhere, and there's a chance it could be more than the savings you provide.
So as you know,
so I'm looking for more collaboration from my elected officials, which in this case, because it affects the entire county,
I have met with Gary Merrill.
as have I several times.
To try to collaborate, it's not working. So, and also in government, that's what municipalities do. They compete for the money. That's what a grant is called. That's why Olentangy schools are getting screwed all the time, and our representatives are trying to compete for the money.
Maybe I'm idealistic, even naive, but I'd like to change that because I'm able to be right here face to face with you. That's why I want to change that.
But the reality is, municipalities fight for the tax dollars every day.
And when you do, it may adversely affect me, and that's what I'm trying to communicate to you.
So does it adversely affect you when Andy Brenner tries to fight for Olentangy Liberty Schools to get more of the pie?
Well,
does that adversely affect you?
That's state
because then the state would have to raise their tax dollars.
If God forbid we went down the path, to Illinois, yes.
Yeah.
And again, that's state funding, and I'm very concerned. I mean, having a very local funding for services really affecting me. That is really effective.
This is the same
thing. Further up we go, state funding is probably a mess.
There is no difference between county funding to township funding and state funding to school district funding. No difference. Yeah. We're fighting for our share.
So I'm going to be a little snarky, and then both those probably have to go. But I mean, I hear you really just admitting you're playing the same type of politics that I think a lot of people agree really breaks our communities.
I don't think it's political to ask for the fair share for my taxpayers.
Yeah. Again, I'm looking for my officials to work together. And I don't see that. I see a lot of adversarial. Because you're acknowledging here that you're putting out a resolution that they're not going to want to consider.
No, they should consider that.
Well,
that
you think they should, but we both know that they don't want to. They don't want to.
Of course they don't want to, but they need to. That's
and we need to vote for new commissioners if they don't.
If they don't want to treat us fairly.
Again, and it's a longer. I mean, I have a 20-page PowerPoint to go into some of this stuff
Joe,
as far as the finances.
I have ultimate respect for you, and I love that you're here. I'm here to learn. I don't have all the information. I'm here because, I want factual information out there, and I think when there's facts, people can make their own decisions. And if they want to go and vote for Shira again, great. Melody, Mike, the decisions are made in elections, but I do think people that care, people that are willing to sit on your side of the table and a different side of the table and reach common ground that's good for the people, more people like that need to run. And you're already engaged. So, I think that's a really good thing. We have, I would say, again, and this is just a number I'm throwing out there. I had somebody when I ran for trustee ask me, and he's like, I'm really concerned about some things. I thought about running too. He goes, but don't you need some sort of qualifications? I said, you know what? You need integrity and a work ethic. And if you have integrity and a work ethic, you can get stuff done. We have, I would say 90% of politicians in public office, even in our U.S. Senate and Congress, they don't have that, and that's Republicans and Democrats.
Sure.
So people that care need to rise up and leave the comfort levels of our couches and our keyboards
Well,
and get some stuff done.
I
And
think
you're
people are
doing it, you're,
rising up.
yeah. I think
But,
you
but,
do that.
but,
But
in any
again,
event, but, you know, I mean,
Do you
we're
want a
talking,
meeting
And
like
people
I,
are
like I said,
rising
stuff
up.
is, stuff is
People
gonna.
want both sides represented, and for
media
so long on the
membership
social
for?
media and how
Yeah,
it's one side.
I don't like taking sides.
You
It's
have your
not.
card,
It's
honey.
the side is the tax-free.
Oh, I know, but I can tell them I'm just coming
And
to
our
pick
kids
up.
in the education.
That's just, yeah, that's just like a real picturesque regularizing his brother running along Jay ice cream. But like, I was like, is he gonna like jump out of the thinking about just how you always have that level of stress when the kids are little about
Finally at that age where semi-self-sufficient. Don't worry about them sticking their finger in the mouth.
if they do, they'll learn it first.
That's the best. They say that so you drive them a little crazy in their teens and they'll be out the heart.
Okay, my phone says it's 7 o'clock, so we're gonna start the special meeting. If we could stand and say pledge allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mrs. Icorn? Here. Mr. Gemperline?
Here. Wait until she gets the recorder going.
Change the battery. All right, we're good now.
Okay, so it's okay to go ahead with the resolution?
Sure, it's resolution 19071601, a resolution authorizing the township administrator to provide the notices to the Olentangy Local School District and the Delaware Area Career Center required by Ohio